The final race before the European Tour and the season's first major team upgrades has ended, resulting in a notably eventful race. It began with rain threats, many battles, changes, and ended with a one-sided victory by one team. This was the tone of this Grand Prix. Miami closes this first cycle of the Formula One season before the big updates. But for us, it's time to get to work. Here's a summary of the 6th Formula One World Championship round, the Miami Grand Prix. Before starting with the race summary, we had a sprint format this weekend and we need to do a quick review of what happened in this mini competition. First, Leclerc crashed before the sprint began. Second, Trutti. Kimi Antonelli started on pole, but Piastri overtook and pushed him off track at the start. He ended up dropping to 4th place, leaving Norris in 2nd position. During this time, drivers waited for the track to dry, resulting in little competition early on, until the track dried and some drivers made the right call, quickly coming into the pits like Hamilton or Tsunoda to switch from intermediate to dry tires. We later saw Red Bull Racing's attempted homicide of Antonelli when they released Max from the pit lane as the Italian was passing by, which caused damage to his wing. The Dutchman gets a 10-second penalty for unsafe release, plus Liam Lawson's attempted act of terrorism. While trying to pass Fernando Alonso, he collided with him, sending Alonso into the wall, forcing his retirement and triggering the safety car. On that lap, Norris pitted for dry tires and exited the pits in 1st place, taking advantage of the safety car. Because the race ended under this device, Lando Norris won, Oscar Piastri was 2nd and 3rd. Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen, who had finished 4th, ended up falling out of the points because of the penalty. The Sunday race is what counts, with the only surprise being Gasly starting from the pit lane after setup changes. Other than that, we would have Max Verstappen on pole position, who had done a very good lap to secure this first spot on the grid. Lando Norris is 2nd, Kimi Antonelli 3rd, and the championship leader is 4th. Leaving us to wonder if Max could maintain his lead or if the McLarens would eventually catch him. Or if Miami would give us some kind of surprise winner. And once the cars lined up on the starting grid, the lights would go out and the Miami Grand Prix would begin. Verstappen defended early but went wide in turn 1, allowing Norris to try the inside after the lockup. In the next corner, Verstappen pushed him wide and defended, causing Norris to drop to 3rd behind Carlos Sainz, with no investigation into the move. But further back at the start, there was contact between Mexico's favorite driver, Liam Lawson, and Argentina's favorite driver, Jack Doohan. This left debris on the track, made both drivers retire, and triggered the day's first virtual safety car. It ended on lap 4, and Piastri quickly passed Antonelli for 2nd to challenge Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, further back, Norris took 5th place from Carlos Sainz, trying to recover the positions he lost at the start. In fact, a few laps later, he got past Russell with a beautiful move to take 4th place, and then he was able to overtake Antonelli to move up to 3rd. And he started to gradually close the gap that Piastri and Verstappen had built up because of that situation on the first lap. By lap 10, Piastri was already aggressively challenging Verstappen for an opportunity to take the lead, and for several laps, Verstappen was able to defend himself. By aggressively covering the inside lines, he wore out his tires. On lap 14, Piastri capitalized on Verstappen's aggressive turn 1 lockup to make a great move. He expertly took the lead from the Dutch driver, who now had to fend off Lando Norris, who had caught up. He again fought hard against the world champion, but lost a lot of time. After several failed overtakes let Piastri pull ahead, Norris finally passed him at turn 11 on lap 17 but went off track and had to give the position back on the next straight. After losing nearly 8 seconds to Piastri, he overtakes him on lap 18. And this time he takes the position against a Verstappen who wore out his tires a lot in these opening laps, which would end up costing him later on. And from this point on, the McLaren switched to beast mode and, showing their absurd and completely brutal pace, started pulling away second by second, lap by lap. The midfield stayed mostly the same, except Alex Albon passed Carlos Sainz to get ahead, and a few laps later, Hamilton overtakes Esteban Ocon to finally break into the top 10 of the grid. But on lap 26, leaders began the pit stops. Antonelli, who was 2 seconds behind Max, tries an undercut but has a slow stop, so a lap later Max comes in and comes out ahead of Antonelli. This was bad news for both drivers, as Oliver Burman's engine failed completely on lap 27, so he got stuck on the track and a virtual safety car had to come out. Norris, Piastri, Hamilton and Russell used this opportunity to pit and change tires, with Russell benefiting from his gap. Not only did he come out with a better tire, the medium, thanks to the strategy of starting with a hard tire, but he also came out ahead of Verstappen, sending him down to 4th place. The virtual safety car ended soon after, revitalizing the race quickly. Sainz passed Leclerc for 8th, while Albon overtook Antonelli to take 5th. The Thai driver was having an outstanding race. However, on lap 34, the Ferrari drivers, who for this Grand Prix seemed like the prancing horse was dead, managed to overtake Carlos Sainz to move up to 7th and 8th, respectively. Although Hamilton asked the team to let him pass to better use the medium tire, the order came too late and he couldn't make the needed difference. So a few laps later, when Leclerc and Hamilton were chasing Antonelli, they decided to swap positions again, and this made Hamilton angry. In the end, almost nothing happened in this Grand Prix. Bortoletto's engine also went to make room for us in the afterlife when it blew up, and he ended up retiring from the race, which caused a virtual safety car that lasted only a short time, and that really no one was able to take advantage of. Verstappen tried to catch Russell for a podium spot, but the Red Bull just didn't have the pace in this Grand Prix. Norris closed in on Piastri, reducing the gap by a few seconds, but never threatened the Australian's position. So when lap 57 came around, Oscar Piastri was back to winning. This season he continued his winning streak over his rivals. And today, with this victory, he becomes more of a leader than ever in the Formula One Drivers' Championship. Oscar Piastri earns his 4th win this season, continuing his dominant path toward his first World Championship. He runs a perfect race. Recovering from that bad qualifying, he beats his 2 rivals and once again extends the gap in the drivers' standings. The remaining top 10 in the Miami Grand Prix finished as follows. Lando Norris took 2nd, hindered by poor strategy. George Russell finished 3rd, gaining from the safety car. Max Verstappen was 4th after a tough race. 5th place for a brilliant Alex Albon. 6th place for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Leclerc finished 7th, Hamilton 8th in a disastrous weekend for Ferrari, and Sainz 9th. Closing out the top 10, Yuki Tsunoda secures the final point for Red Bull. Miami. It's not to everyone's liking, and you can't blame them when the circuit isn't that great either. And in today's race, the first half was extremely exciting, with the battle for the lead, the threat of rain that never really came. They were setting up a really good outlook, but the second half was completely flat and practically one where absolutely nothing happened. Honestly, the second half was disappointing after the strong start. But, well, I have to appreciate how exciting the beginning was, and I think a 7, an entertaining rating, is what it deserves. Miami. Brutal start but a flat ending. My drivers of the day this time are Alex Albon, George Russell, and especially once again Oscar Piastri. He qualifies aggressively, focuses on fighting Verstappen, and uses it to build a big lead over Lando Norris. Today, I wanted his teammate to be faster in terms of pace, but he managed the race better, and that overall ended up giving him the victory. And my disappointment of the day is the people from the prancing horse. Wow, what a disaster. Totally off pace, they ranked 5th, just behind Williams. Their decisions and strategies were entirely bad and absurd. If this team isn't already focused on 2026, they should be. Because what they've shown so far is frankly disappointing. And their car is honestly a piece of junk wherever you look at it. Anywhere they can turn the situation around and fight like they did last year for the titles. But ladies and gentlemen, with this we finish the summary of the 2025 Miami Grand Prix of Formula One. So what did you think of this Grand Prix? What rating would you give it? And above all, tell me, who were your drivers of the day and your disappointments of the day at this Miami Grand Prix 2025 Formula One? Let me know all your opinions in the comments section. I'll just say goodbye. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you know when I'm uploading a new video, and share this with your friends. Also, I invite you to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter accounts, the links to which will be in the description of this video. I'll see you soon for more content on Skyline Racing. Thank you for tuning in and see you later. Thank you.